Hi everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about my theories as to where the story is going and the champions we're going to see in the Darkin Saga Domination, the next in Legends of Runeterra's Darkin themed expansions. Now, when we last left off the story, Jun had just been taken over by the Darkin Zolani. I believe her plan is to go to Shurima, specifically Acacia, and not only finish the civil war between her and Aatrox, but also do the unthinkable and lay siege to the land of the gods, Mount Targon. We can see Zolani's connection to Shurima and Acacia through many cards. Not only is she a Shuriman card, but you can see in the Dark Enthrall artwork that he is in Shurima, near some weird, possibly void-based architecture, which would make sense to be in Acacia. We can also see her fighting Harazi in what appears to be the same desert as the Dark Enthrall artwork, and if you needed any more proof, Naganeka's flavor text explicitly mentions answering her general's call in Acacia. Now, normally I'd read you the quote, but as you can see, there's a bit of a typo in there. Now, it's totally understandable. Riot is a small indie game company after all, but it does make the game unplayable, so they really should get on that ASAP. But what about this mysterious general? They're also mentioned again in the flavor for the Darkin Halberd, Tarosh. Straining against the confines of his cell, Tarosh heard his general's call. He would answer it, one way or another. If you hadn't guessed it, this general is none other than the Darkin Blade, Aatrox. Not only is he called out by name in Zolani's flavor as being her enemy, but Tarosh also brings him up by name as well.
Aatrox, I have heard your call!
It's not totally clear if Harazi is Aatrox's subordinate, since she doesn't bring him up by name in flavor or voice lines, but as we saw earlier, she is definitely Zolani's enemy. Now, those of you with keen eyes might have noticed this in the background of the Dark Enthrall art. Despite what the trailer they put out would have you believe, this is in fact Harazi fighting Tarosh, not Zolani. Now, why would this be? We've seen that they are both enemies of Zolani, so why are they fighting each other? The reason for this is Zolani is going to use her powers to control Tarosh and make him fight for her. You may recall from her flavor that she's capable of controlling other Darkin through her chemomantic magic, and some voice lines between her and Tarosh prove this to be true.
I must stop you!
Hush, my child. Be at peace.
Now, so far, all the things I've talked about seem fairly obvious, but what about my claim that Zolani is going to attack Targon? Attacking it seems not only insane, but incredibly difficult. Despite this, we recently got a home screen added into Legends of Runeterra that show a group of people approaching Mount Targon in a very not friendly manner. I believe that this group is Zolani's followers, similar to the Dark Enthrall. They all have similar clothing and weapons. An attack on Mount Targon would also explain another big part of the Darkin Saga, the corrupted skins. Awakening introduced 4 different skins for some of the Targonian aspects within Legends of Runeterra: Leona, Diana, Taric, and Pantheon, with a Zoe skin teased but not released yet. These are called corrupted skins because they are all Targonian aspects being controlled by Zolani. The flavor for Taric and Pantheon call her out by name. We were also confirmed on the LOR roadmap that we're getting a second part of this corrupted event, so it feels like an important part of everything that is going on. Not to mention, it ties in with Zolani besieging Mount Targon. Speaking of Mount Targon, let me introduce the Targonian champion that I believe we're going to be seeing in Domination, Kael the Righteous. This theory all boils down to a new card introduced this set, Celestial Impact. For those of you who know Kael from League, the color and designs of these swords and the orb are unmistakably hers. This would also be not the first time that the LOR devs teased an upcoming champion with a spell before their release. Pyke's Bone Skewer came out as a card before Pyke the Champion did. But not only do I think Kael will show up as a playable card, but I also believe that she will intervene in the fight between the Darkin. This is where the flavor text of Celestial Impact sheds some light. who would arrive in our hour of need? Shuriman Elder. The implication being that Kale will come to their hour of need. But the most interesting part is who the quote is from, a Shuriman Elder. Kale has little to no ties to Shurima, so it seems odd that she would be coming to protect Shurimans unless something massive was going on down there. Something like a war between Darkin, perhaps? It could also be that Kale is retaliating for the attack on Mount Targon, since last we left Kale within the lore, she had gone to Targon Prime. This was confirmed by writer Gelbug in a Reddit AMA about the reworked Kale and Morgana. Now, this is where my story-related theories end, but we aren't done yet, because I have some more theories as to what champions we might see next in Legends of Runeterra. So if we assume that Kale is going to be in Targon, then since World Walker began, we've gotten a new champion for every region except Demacia and Piltover and Zaun. I have two pretty interesting candidates for the Demacia slot. My first pick is the Fallen, Morgana. A bit of an obvious choice. Since Kale seems to be coming, it wouldn't be that crazy to assume her sister Morgana is coming too. In addition, the Reddit post I brought up earlier mentions that Morgana is laying low in the wilds of Demacia, so it would make sense for her to be a part of the region, not to mention her own ties to it. My more interesting candidate, though, is the Maven of the Strings, Sona. So Demacia has 4 different cards, all depicting this gentleman, Lord Barrett Bavel. This man is actually Sona's adopted father. Despite being dead in the present time, we've seen how LOR doesn't really care about time when it comes to his cards, so it wouldn't be that crazy to assume that both Barrett and Sona could be in the game together. Sona also makes an appearance in the artwork for the Hymn of Valor relic. Next up is the Piltover and Zaun champion. Now, I'll admit that myself, I have no earthly idea what the champion could be. But a far more experienced theorist than myself, the Skilled Roy, posted a really interesting theory about the new P&Z champion being Seraphine. I'd really recommend watching the video for the full reasons, but I gotta say, I think he's on the money with this one, especially since I'm on the music train already with Sona. Now, the final champion on our list is the last Darkin we're missing from League, Varus, the Darkin Bow. At first, I didn't think there was too much pointing to Varus coming to LOR. When we last left him in the lore, he was in Shurima looking for his sister, which is heavily implied to be another Darkin weapon. But besides that, we haven't seen or heard of Varus in years. But then, I looked at the roadmap again, and noticed that we're getting an Arclight event with the next patch. This is very odd considering Arclight is a pretty underutilized skin line. The last Arclight skin that came out was Brand's in 2019. At first, I thought this could be Riot trying to gauge how much people like this skin line without committing too many resources to make a whole league event out of it, but then I took a look at the list of champions with existing Arclight skins. Now, for those of you not aware, Arclight is actually composed of 2 different skin lines, the Arclight skins and the Justicar skins. Justicar was an older skin line that ended up being bundled in with Arclight because they share such similar themes. Looking at a list of these champions, none of them currently exist in the game. Now, LOR does have a lot of exclusive skins, but save for a few minor exceptions, events always have a combination of existing skins from League and some exclusive ones, especially if it's an already existing skin line in League. Arclight is also the only skin line shared by both Aatrox and Varus. I'll admit that this could all be a crazy coincidence, but I really want to believe that we're going to get to see Aatrox and Varus in Legends of Runeterra. Hey, thanks for sticking through all my theories. Let me know down below if you think I'm absolutely right or absolutely insane. Now, before you go, here's a fun little lore fact/theory for you. Did you know we've actually seen Naganeka's name before in the story Twilight of the Gods? Now, for those of you lore aficionados, you know that Twilight of the Gods is a really important story because it reintroduces the Darkin into the Runeterra canon as we know them today. In the story, Naganeka is one of the few Darkin to escape being outright massacred, along with Valiva and Sebotaru. Since we saw Naganeka this set, maybe we'll see Valiva or Sebotaru in another. Who knows? If you want to watch more of me, got a video right here talking about the Darkin Saga Awakening story. Have a lore-filled day, everybody.